Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
So when I was younger, I decided to work for one of those part-time staffing agencies while I transitioned out of the Navy. Go to this creepy area of around 500 warehouses. They all look identical. Rundown looked like it was made during World War II. Get lost because half of the building numbers were missing. This one warehouse has part of the digits of the warehouse I need to decide to go into. The only vehicles outside were plate-less white vans. Go inside thinking maybe they were working on registering these as shipment vehicles. I see what looks like prison cells with kids' toys inside. See about 10 men wearing black suits and all wearing sunglasses. I realized this wasn't the right spot. Super creeped out and trying to sneak out because I didn't want these creepy dudes to see me. They see me. Get out of here or we will kill you and your entire family. You didn't see shit and keep your mouth shut. I didn't say a word, gave a thumbs up and left. Decided I didn't want to work this part-time gig at what looks like a child trafficking syndicate nearby. Get out of the place. Never return. What the hell did I see?
B20, around 1 a.m., going home on night bus. A guy about 50 gets on, brown hair bald on top, fat. He looks at me. He's shaking like he's going cold turkey. He's bumping into shit, can barely walk, white as a sheet. He sits with his back to me a few rows in front. Starts to grumble shake. No, can't take my eyes off him. He starts to shift around in the seat, still grumbling and shaking. Almost looks as if he's dancing. He starts scratching at the back of his head. No. See hair actually falling from his head in clumps. What the hell? Pretty awake by this point. Scratches himself for 2 minutes until almost bald. Pretty much shitting myself at this point. He suddenly jumps up and stands bolt upright like a statue, thinking I'm just about to fly kick this weirdo clean off the bus. He spasms a few times, hands down by his waist. No! The bus stops. The driver opens the door and starts shouting at him to get off. He walks towards the doors calmly, turns back and looks at me. His face wasn't the same.
This one actually has video proof for once. Out riding motorcycles at night with Buddy. He turns into a neighborhood in a rural area. It's not filled yet. Very few houses except at the entrance. Get to a dead end. Sit there for about 3 minutes and talk and shit. Go to leave. See a half-naked guy coming my way. Try to just go around him. He attempts to block me. Go around him on the other side. He hits my friend in the elbow as he follows me. We continue on our way out of there. WebM related. I guess I didn't see anything I wasn't supposed to, but it was kinda spooky with a guy trying to knock us off our bikes in the middle of nowhere at night. Some additional details. A few hundred feet down from the last and only house on that street. Our headlights are bright. May have shined in his window. Did a small, only a couple seconds long skid. Friend's tires are pretty squeaky. There's a vacant property on the end of that court where I know some people go off-roading. I could understand a bit of anger if people were out there bothering him every night, but we were only there for like 3 minutes and didn't even have our engines on most of the time.
Similar thing happened to me and my cousin in Ecuador. Be me riding with my cousin on a blue dirt bike. It is really dark out. Coming to a cross section. Light turns red. My cousin tells me if he sees 2 guys running. Look in his direction. 2 guys are running towards us. Light is still red. My cousin doesn't hesitate and runs past the red light, cursing in Spanish.webm. I'm shaking. My cousin is calm as hell. Goddamn, foreign countries produce scary experiences.
B11. Come home from school. Mum is sitting with 2 guys. One is a policeman, the other is plain clothes. Go and wait in the bedroom. 10 minutes later, Mum comes in. It's your dad. He died. Hadn't seen him since I was a baby, so I'm not really bothered. The police want to ask me some questions. Ask when I last saw him, etc. The plainclothes cop asks the other one to leave, says his name is James, starts asking about school, starts talking about gossip, tells me lies are bad. Asks again when was the last time I saw Dad. Asks me if Dad ever mentioned the army. Asks if Dad ever mentioned flying. All no. He goes off and they leave. Later found out my dad was a pilot for the Royal Air Force who later worked for Boeing. He quit in 1983 when I was 2, then left home without telling Mum. He drifted around and was homeless for a few years. He died in a nursing home in Scotland, aged 67.
About 5 or 6 years ago, visiting family far away, they live in a town next to the forest. Annoying younger cousins start asking if I used to go to the caves when I was their age and used to live there with my family. Just keep on ignoring them until they get really annoying. I stop for a sec and think, WTF caves? I never ever at all heard of any caves anywhere around. Get a bit curious and ask relatives about caves in the area. They say there aren't any, at least not within 100 miles. Whatever. Next day I was heading on to the river, taking a walk, clearing my mind. Annoying little brats notice I'm going and start following me and talking about their annoying kid stuff, asking what's my favorite video game, etc. Kind of ignore them and keep walking. Didn't tell them off because, well, they're kids and they're family after all. When I get to the part of the road that goes down to the river, they pull me the other way. Start with the cave crap once more. Not this shit again, .gif. It can't be that bad, right? After all, it might be interesting. Alright, lead me to the cave. Walk uphill instead, where I know there's nothing at all, no houses, completely out of sight. They seem lost and I start doubting their shit right away. One of them assures he knows where it is. Wander around and follow him for about 10 more minutes. He gets all excited. He found it. At this point, I'm just ready for disappointment. A hole in the ground, something like that. It's a tubular entrance going down. There's a short, thick corridor, and it's about 9 feet tall. 2 holes left, 3 holes right. Big enough for an adult person to easily crawl. Start checking the holes out. There's an awful lot of electronics very primitively modified. My cousins point out they had seen these caves, but had never actually been inside. After just a couple more minutes, we hear footsteps. Probably my other cousins or relatives trying to scare the shit out of us, right? Hear 2 men speaking. Completely unfamiliar. Nope.raw. Pause. It's a very small rural town. There's a part of the town where there's my family and friendly people. But on the outskirts, a lot of people with bad reputation live, from crazy tinfoil hats to redneck-like people that always carry a shotgun no matter what. People that have been known for bad shit. So far to my knowledge, harming their own children, violent rituals, stuff like that. Almost threw my little cousins up outside the cave-like thing. Run like hell, keep pushing them, and tell them not to stop until we get to the town. Screw this shit, man, screw your caves. We get to the town, act normal. Grab both of them and tell them to not ever mention this to anyone, and not ever go back to the cave.
Be me, 14, driving from Long Island to Hershey Park with my family, about to cross over the Throgs Neck Bridge, about 7:30 at night. I'm trying to read by the light from the window, combination of street light and what little sunlight is left. Hear a truck come alongside our car, blocks out the light. I look up at the truck, see the driver. Something's not quite right about him. Stare at him for a few seconds. Dude turns to look at me. Dude has no face, perfectly smooth, like an eggshell. We stare at each other for a few seconds. Dad has to slow down because an asshole cut us off. Truck blows past us. I don't know why, but I didn't say anything, just went back to my book. Still think about it, even 20+ years later. Haven't seen anything like that since. Maybe there's a perfectly rational explanation. Could have been a dude wearing a stocking or something. Maybe I witnessed a hijacker or something, I don't know. But it didn't look natural, and I have no idea why he turned to look at me.
When I was about 10 or 12 years old, I saw a UFO that felt like it was 7 meters above me. Be me 10 or 12 years old. I was obsessed with UFOs and would often go to the library to find books about them and learn about alien races and stuff. Decided I would try to communicate with them. Got a pretty bright flashlight, researched Morse code, and would flash the words "hey" or similar stuff. Got tired of doing this. Was starting to believe they don't exist and this is some bullshit. One night Mom forgot to hang wet clothes on the line outside after washing them for the millionth time. Had to go outside at around 12 a.m. to hang them because she's lazy. Pretty spoopy. My house has lots of hexes put on it from my family's different enemies, including a dead body in the yard that was yet to be discovered for another 6 years. That's a story for another post. Hanging the clothes, my stepfather decides to hang outside with me while taking a smoke, looking at some stars because I was still obsessed with astronomy, but was becoming skeptic of the whole aliens thing. Without warning, a super bright silvery blue light shines my whole backyard from a source about 7 meters above me. This was the brightest light I've ever seen in my entire life. The flash was about half a second long, and I saw the light move further and further. I assume it was moving super fast. Stepfather acknowledged what happened, but after that day he denied everything. I was so happy because this meant that the aliens were receiving my messages and they wanted me to see them. After that, I saw 2 more UFOs on 2 separate occasions but at the same area, near a beach resort where people hang out at night, including one time when I was talking to my friends about the second time I saw a UFO at the exact place we were at and they were all laughing at me, calling me crazy, and I told them I really hope they show you, and I shit you not. About a minute later, one of the stars grew brighter and brighter and started falling and then stopped and went into hyperspace or something. Even the couple making out on the shore saw it. My friends screamed and they never doubted me again. I'm pretty sure I got abducted the first time, but I can't remember shit, only about the flash and seeing it fly away.
This happened to my brother when he and his friends goofed around in a 300-year-old cemetery during the winter solstice. Pull up to the cemetery and everything's clear. Drive around the cemetery 3 times blaring angry rap music, which is supposed to draw the spirits out. Suddenly, the cemetery is filled with a spoopy fog. Get out and start wandering. They usually drink and play hide-and-go-seek out there, but they all suddenly felt sick. Brother checks his phone. Dead. Checks his watch. Dead. His 2 friends check their phones. Dead. They all decide to get out of there. The whole ride back, my brother feels like there's a presence in the back seat, even after dropping friends off. When he gets home around 3, the dogs start snarling at him, and the cats are hissing and puffing up. I'm awake on the Chan and get out the water bottle to spray the animals to make them stop. Brother stumbles into his bedroom, and I assume he's drunk. The next morning, my brother told me what actually happened. The animals were acting batshit, so I believe his story. Plus, he showed me his watch still stuck at about the time they got out there.
2nd grade at Longfellow in St. Paul. Finally ask a teacher what's down this huge vent by the gym. It was just this big grate in the wall taller than all the kids, and there were pipes in it covered in dust and air was always blowing up from the basement. That's the cellar where we keep Longfellow's body. What the heck, crayons? Talk to the other kids about it. They all know already and tease me or don't care. Keep trying to figure out where the door leading to the basement is. It's in the cafeteria, which is right next to the gym. It's always locked. One day it isn't because one of the janitors is plugged into an outlet or something. I just remember that there was an extension cord running from out of it and a doorstop was in. Go down. Cement stairs. See the vent from below, the dusty pipes, etc. No dead bodies, no coffins. Bunch of pipes and machines and normal basement things. Go around a corner behind the stairs. There's a bunch of costumes hanging from a rack, like pick-related. One of them is the police dog costume used in a police visit. I think, oh yeah, I learned something cool. Move some of the costumes over to start looking. The police dog lifts its hand and grabs me, shaking the whole rack. Whoever is inside starts yelling, "What are you doing down here? What are you doing down here? What are you doing down here?" Janitor comes down and picks me up. The person in the dog suit keeps screaming at me as we go upstairs. Janitor just puts his hand up to his mouth in a shh. I'm standing there crying. Can hear him running down the steps. Just hear low thumps like wood, 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 and muffled yelling. Loud muffled crying like WW. The principal runs down next. They talk to my parents, etc. Nobody ever gave me an explanation, and my dad can't remember it.
Be me, 10 years old, happy, life is good. Stay up late every night playing Crash Bandicoot. Finally beat Dr. Neo Cortex. Time to celebrate. Sneak to the kitchen for 3 ice cream sandwiches. I don't want to wake up my parents. Stealth mode engage. Slowly creep down the hallway. See light coming from the kitchen doorway. Who left the desk light on? Proceed without concern. Oh Jesus, the fridge is open. Dad is standing naked in front of it. Fridge light shining on him like a spotlight. Stare for eternity. Nope out without saying a word. Go back to the room and pop Spyro into the PS1. Wasn't supposed to see that.
Okay, this one happened to me a couple of years ago, and it's real because unfortunately, it isn't even paranormal. Be a biologist, doing field work deep in some mountainous area. Was going to camp there for a couple of days. Beautiful scenery, small trails here and there, very humid. Set up camp on the first day. I thought I heard cars or very distant voices as dusk was setting. Get fire going. It was hard because everything was humid. Nothing eventful happened. I woke up feeling tired and hungry. Packed up, went hiking some more, trying to track down certain species of reptiles and whatnot. Climbed down a small ravine because I saw some snake. It slithered under some bush, and as I was struggling to look for it, I heard voices in the distance. Now, you don't want to hear voices in this area. I live in Mexico, and I was doing this field work in an area that's pretty much the border between the states of Sonora and Sinaloa. The voices get nearer. I think I see figures moving in the distance, some 200 meters away. I kept still hiding behind a bush and some rocks in that ravine. They emerge in a clearing about 100 meters away. 3 people. 2 of them are carrying something. Please no .exe. It's a body. Looks dead. Nope.jpg. They shoot it 2 times and I flinch and cover my ears. At this point I almost shat myself and tried to lay low and remain silent. I wanted to see what was going on, but at the same time I didn't. Hear those 3 people discussing shit. They keep at it for a while. I opened my eyes because I felt something on my arm. It's a snake. Non-venomous, but I hope it doesn't bite me or get in my clothes. The snake lays still, as do I. I see the killers slowly walk back from whence they came. So does Snake. I'm too scared to move. I lay there for about 2 hours before I slowly walked back to my initial camp. When I finally got back to camp, I packed my shit and left and called for some co-workers to pick me up. As I was going home, I realized they didn't even bother to bury the body.
I can tell a strange one. 7 years old, living in a big house of only 1 floor. There were only my parents and I. As usual, I slept first, then them. And as usual, I woke up sometimes to get glasses of water or just to pee. One night, I had to pee and woke up as fast as Sonic. At the house, we had 2 bathrooms. I planned to go to the nearest, but as I got to the core door, only with the light of the moon shining it up, I felt bad. My breath was deeper and I was standing still. I still don't know why. But at the end of it, where the core door goes to the bathroom, I heard something. The end of the core door is darker than the rest of it, so I couldn't see the end. Then a strange figure showed up. White skin, no hair, no clothes, no eyes were on it. At this moment, I didn't need to get to the bathroom anymore. I was standing in a puddle. The thing had only a mouth where a black liquid was pouring out, leaving a mess on the ground. It sounded like crackles while moving, and it had arms that were almost dragging the rest of its own body on the ground, like a person. Standing there still, I had no reaction, not even a scream, just looking at it. Then I walked back to my room, quiet as ever. closed the door, and hid myself into the sheet of my bed. The next day, when I was going to tell my parents about it, that I had to clean my clothes too. My mom told me that on this night I went to their room. I stopped and asked what did I do. She said that I was serious, saying, "You don't know, but they're coming for you." I had this nightmare for more than 2 years and told them sometimes. Today I still don't know what it is. Oh, and they stopped since we moved to another house.
Be me, 17 at the time, at home, playing some Fallout New Vegas. Friends ring my doorbell. They want to check out some old bridge south of Killeen. Why not? Go there. Old rusted truss bridge. It's nighttime, so we go to the riverbed below and start a campfire. They want to start going home, but I convince a chick they brought to stay with me so I can spit some mad game. It's about 11. Realize we're alone. Things are looking up. Clouds roll in. The moon and stars are now gone. Gets spooky. After 10 minutes of debating, we put out the fire and started to walk back to the bridge. See people on the bridge? They're wearing what appears to be your stereotypical robes. They're on either side of the bridge. Not too concerned, kids come here all the time to play pranks and shit. However, the girl I was with whispered in my ear that we should back below the bridge to hide other people's fear. Usually spooks me out, so I agree. We hide behind this large piece of driftwood. We hear no talking. In fact, no sound could barely be heard at all, forcing us to keep our breaths hushed lest someone hear us. I see tears rolling down her face. My masculinity is wearing off as well. Probably about 1 at this point. Grab her arm tight. Tell her that we're going to sprint to my car and GTFO. Make a dead sprint up the hill. Literally around a dozen people there turn towards us. Get to my car. Gun it down the county road until we hit the interstate.
Be like 8. Live in a shitty part of Flint. Live with my single drug addict mother and younger sister, who was 5 at the time. Mom was pretty deep into some bad shit. Her husband messed around with gangs and stuff, drug deals, etc. He beats her regularly. Mom leaves us home alone to go do something, said she was running to the store just down the street from us. She leaves for like 3 hours. After a while of her being gone, this red pickup truck pulls into our driveway. A friend of my mom's husband who was on bad terms with her right now. Like a week prior to this, my mom had drove to this dude's house, got out, took a chair off of his porch, and broke all of his windows and put a hole in his door. There are like 5 people in total, only one of whom I recognize. He walks up to the door and starts pounding on it. I think he saw me looking out the window at them. Starts telling me to let him in. Gets progressively louder, telling me it's okay to let him in. At this point, I'm hiding under a table and my sister is hiding in the other room. After like 15 minutes, they pack up and drive off. Shortly afterwards, my mom got home and I told her about it. She doesn't really say anything about it. It's not really paranormal or something I shouldn't have seen, but it was still pretty scary.
Shitty part of Flint. That's all of Flint.
Anglo-Quebec reporting. Sort of story. Fucked with me anyway. B8. The Filipino au pair gets deported. Parents have to send me to a home daycare until the new one comes in the mail. Watch Samurai Pizza Cats. It's pretty chill. The lady who runs the daycare has one son my age and one way older. They're French, so I basically refuse to talk to them. One day an older kid is acting weird, asks his brother to come down to the basement. I'm watching Samurai Pizza Cats in an autistic haze. Hear a loud thud, really wet sounding like a watermelon hitting the ground. Samurai Pizza Cats are rad. More thuds, then a sort of scraping sound. Maybe I should investigate. Open the basement door, look down from the top of the stairs. Older kid standing over a chest freezer, shoving something inside. Bloody hockey stick leaning on the wall. It's a Coho Jaguar, that's a good stick too. He notices me, looks me dead in the eyes, smiles. Curiosity killed the cat. Run upstairs and hide under the stairs. Never said shit to anyone and never went back to that daycare.
Story my dad and uncle told me. Be Uncle Poland, 1990. Little description of where this happens. We're from the southern part of Poland near Rydzeso and Czestochowa. Hilly country with huge forests and farmland surrounding the cities. Family owns a huge farming estate away from the city. Uncle was conscripted and finally came home after serving. Dropped off at bus station at noon, calls family and says he'll be home soon. Dad says the car broke down and he can't pick him up. Uncle says it's fine, he'll walk home. 2-hour hike. By the time he gets to the countryside, it's dark but not completely night yet. Starts to rain. Side note. It was regulation that when you got out you kept your dress and field uniform, rifle and other supplies you were issued, so that you'd be ready in a time of war. Uncle takes off his pack, gets his poncho, puts his pack back on, slings his rifle across his chest to make it more streamlined, then puts on his poncho, takes shortcut onto mud roads, eventually crosses over a hill and sees a truck in the distance. It's in the direction away from the road he's on, with its headlights on and not moving. Thinks it's stuck in the mud, starts walking towards it to offer help. Eventually gets close enough to see people walking around the truck, and there's 2 other cars there, a dark SUV and a white sedan. Thinks it's people trying to help the truck. Gets uneasy and stalks in his tracks when they all stop and turn towards him. 50 yards away. Uncle's frozen for a few seconds, then turned around because something felt off. Creeped out and hurries towards home. Eventually gets to one of the hills near the house and can see it from atop the hill. He turns around and sees headlights barely shining from a hill that he crossed a mile or so away. Ducks down, opens his pack for his binoculars. Laying down using the hilltop as cover, he looks at the hill and doesn't see headlights anymore but sees a car barely showing itself. Spooked but observes it. Eventually it reverses and is out of sight. Uncle hauls ass and runs the last few miles back home. A week passes and he's on a walk with my aunt, walking down on a windy road on a hill, cutting through the forest to save time. While walking through the woods in between the road, he sees the same white sedan going up the hill. Passes by them without seeing them. Uncle and aunt take different road home. A few days later, my uncle gets a letter in the mail. Unmarked envelope, opens it and reads the letter. "You didn't see anything for your sake, Lance Corporal." Shows my dad. They knew where we lived and who my uncle was. Uncle and dad keep their rifles in their bedrooms instead of the attic where my dad stored his after he got home. Uncle still has the letter and envelope, still have no idea who they are.
2 years back. Talk shit on other image boards. I write in a thread that I have proof of human mutilations done by Greys. Spoiler, I don't. Go to sleep. Wake up to a flash and humming sounds. See a gray-looking alien next to me. I can move my arms and legs, but when I try to get up, I freeze completely. Full panic mode. The gray just stares at me. Blackout. Next thing I remember is a falling sensation. I feel myself bouncing on my bed and I open my eyes. First thing I do is rush to my PC and delete the post I posted earlier. Go to the bathroom and find a scar on my shoulder which I broke in a brutal way when I was a kid. It just looks weird. I was too afraid to sleep for 2 days, after which I just crashed. Never experienced anything before or after, I'd like to be honest, since I can't get my mind off these things anymore.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check the Odyssey and Rumble pages for separate archives of previous broadcasts.